What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I am trying something new. I will be welding my PLA. If you are not new to the 3D printing community, you know about PLA welding, or you know about other fusing techniques to get your sliced material to stick together. I, being new, only know of the idea. I've never tried it, dabbled with it. I am still new to this hobby. So before I start on my trunk sword, for those that don't know, actually most of you should not know the project that I have coming up. I am working on Trunks's sword, but it's in sections. I have it all separated out into different sections of the sword, and I need to put them together. And I wanted to go a little bit different route other than super gluing. I wanted there to be a strong hold and bond between each section. So with my research and other creators that I've seen, PLA welding with a hot iron or a soldering knife is the way to go. So I got myself a super cheap soldering iron. I think it's like $14 on Amazon. The link will be in the description below. I got something very cheap because I knew I was going to be using it just on plastics. Maybe when I get into, doing electronics in my builds, maybe I'll have to solder. I am not an engineer. I don't work with any electronics, so I don't know soldering. So I figured if I needed, or if I wanted to get into that space, I would eventually get an upgraded soldering iron kit. But I figured for now, this would be fine. It comes with a multitude of different heads, so I guess if one gets all gunked up with plastic, that I could just swap it out for one of these. I'm gonna try, a couple different ones. I kind of figured that this knife bit would be best, but I don't know. There's a couple different ones. I did see a video on my Instagram the other day. Someone was using one of these rounded bits and making little tiny holes in between each of their sections of PLA. So we have a couple different pieces here that I'm going to be sticking together. So one is this skull, this raven skull, and this is just how the STL file was. It was 2 pieces. So we need to combine the back of the skull to the main skull. And then before I get into that, I really just want to figure out how PLA welding works. So I figured, let's take an old temp tower and this piece of a upcoming helmet build that I'm doing. I'm working on a clone trooper, and it's just a failed print, and I just wanna, find a place to stick this and just practice welding. And I have a scrap brim that maybe I can, use to fuse things together. So let's just dive on in, shall we? I gotta heat this bad boy up, get that powered on 300 degrees Celsius. Should be good, right? I figure if I melt my plastic at 210, 300 should be fine. I don't know. I'll wait for that to heat up. I wonder when it's ready. I definitely don't want to touch it. 300 degrees Celsius is insane. So let's take this piece of old plastic. I definitely smell heat. It smells hot. Oh yeah, that's warm. It's melting. Okay. It's melting. That's good. That's good to know. Okay, so it's hot enough. I don't really know what I want to do here. I guess let's just see how. Screw it. Let's just stab it. Oh wow, it's cutting through like butter. It looks like it's leaving some burn lines. I mean, this is white PLA, so I guess that's to be expected, that it might get a little burnt. Maybe my temperature is a little too high. I have a feeling that's going to be some, trial and error and just figuring out what based on the knife that I have, like how hot it needs to get. And let's see. I don't know, this is kind of bulky. I can't make like fine moves, but it does cut through it. It's like a warm knife through like melted butter. It's just going so easily, which just means I'm gonna have to be careful when it comes to like actually working on something. Let's put these two pieces together. I'm gonna put my respirator on because this is getting really stinky, and I can only imagine that those fumes are not good for me. So commentary is gonna be not existent during this process, but I'll come back and let you know what my findings.
I look like I'm on my way to being like a crappy Batman villain. You're afraid of the PLA welding? Well, I was born in it, molded by it. You were not a PLA welder till I was but a man. I'll get back to the welding. I dropped it. I guess I'll talk. I don't know if you can hear me or not through this, but just gonna, I don't know. This just feels like it makes sense. I'm just stabbing into the sections of the plastic here. Again, I have zero idea what I'm doing when it comes to this. I have seen people PLA weld. I understand the process behind it, but the actual technique, I don't know. And if there's one, I can't imagine there's one technique. It's like kind of doing anything. Like, as long as you get the base principle, you can probably get away with doing it whatever makes sense to you and to your tools. So I'm essentially just doing what I think makes sense. I mean, it could break off. So let's see what else we can do. My instinct is to like want to make the plastic malleable enough to like paint it and scrape it into place. I don't know if that's the right move. It's a little flimsy. I really want it to have a good hold, but I don't really know what the best move is. I kind of put it in a crappy spot because I can't get back there. So the weld is strong here on this side, but on this back side, I can feel it like slipping. So I don't know, do I attempt to go through the back? Like, let's see if I can find a way to hold it in place. I guess also, like, by doing this, I'm trying to find a way like of how I would do it. So I really wanted to put it in like a horrible place. Obviously, I would never attach anything like this. It's meant to go on the seams. There's going to be times where prints are going to be tricky. So, like, I wonder if, like, this hole, yeah, I can kind of paint that close. And I would put Bondo or melt some extra other PLA and just stick it in those gaps. Like, that's probably what I would do this for. Like, I don't know, let's try it. Like, yeah, like that just covered the hole. And obviously, yeah, I would have to sand it. I mean, Bondo would probably be better for that kind of a hole just because of how deep it is. But I mean, for like a really quick patch, that would work. And honestly, now that this is cooled, like this is not going anywhere. So like driving the hot iron all the way through, like really kind of made that permanent. Oh, well, that's just crappy print. Okay, let's try to put this back together. Let's see. See, this is what I mean when I said I wanted to make the plastic malleable enough to paint with it. Like, this is what I imagine trying to do this. I don't want to burn myself. Pain is your ally. Get burned. It's part of the process. Y'all know every time I put this mask on going forward, it's gonna be Bane. Like, sorry, not. Yeah, look at that. Perfect. It's on there. This whole piece is on there. This is back. Like, that was a perfect example of like something happening and needing to fix it really quick. And then obviously, like, if this was the final product, I would need to sand it and, you know, fill it and yeah. So great. Okay.
So I think this test was a really good step in like my learning. I think we can totally set that aside and move on to the skull here. I went ahead and turned the iron off. I don't know why I keep calling it an iron. It's a solder. Well, it is an iron, soldering iron. Went and turned it off, and I'm gonna swap for a different bit here. Probably use one of these, like, these more pointed ones. I wanna see if we can get some like finer detail going. Like, you know, I don't know what I mean by that, but different techniques per se, perhaps. The soldering iron has now cooled down significantly, so let's change our bits. All right, I did this once already, and I don't remember it being this difficult. I wonder if plastic got stuck. Ah, yeah, there we go. I don't know what happened. Oops. Maybe it just got friction fit in there. Let's go with this one. Yeah, I remember this being a lot easier. Can it go through? No. When I first got the soldering iron, because I was like, oh, this blade will be better to help with like larger surfaces. So I just jumped right into that one. I don't even remember what the stock point was. It probably was this one. But anyway, so let's turn this guy back on. Preheat. I don't know how long this takes. I mean, it's only been a few minutes. Not even, it's probably been a minute or two. So let's, oh, yeah, so this is fast. I'm never sure how long, like, compared to the printer, this thing heats up so quick. Something is smoking. Is it? Oh, there's plastic still on this. So that's a good reminder. I'm becoming Bane again, okay? Bear with me.
We meet again. So let's try to fuse these pieces together. I don't think these are the right size. I think this part of the skull is for a different print, because I've tried printing this many times, but these aren't lining up. So, but let's just, I'm gonna make little, alright, so I think these two pieces are from two separate prints, because the back half of the skull is not lining up. Either it failed and I canceled it, or one is at a different scale. They're just not lining up correctly, which is totally fine. It doesn't even matter that these aren't lining up. It's hard to hold them, so I'm gonna get a piece of masking tape, and then I'm just gonna do like small little holes around. I saw someone doing this technique on TikTok the other day, and I was like, oh, that's really smart, because then your welding footprint is significantly smaller than if you were to do like what I did on the first test. And then these holes are just so much easier to fill. Yeah, look, like it's already on there, like, oh wow, that is not coming off. That technique's great! Then you don't have to go and make a whole big mess So let's try to like really. Oh yeah. I like this, the tip of this knife way more. And I can smooth all this. Can I like warp some of it into the crevice? And also, I guess depending on your print and the detail of your print, you probably have to limit how deep the knife tip goes in to the plastic. But something like this, where it's a skull and it's going to get smoothed out and buffed, and you know, I don't think it really matters. Again, I'm going to have to fill it, but holy crap. All right.
So with a little bit of sanding and buffing and filling, this would be really great. I think this is as far as I'm going to take today's video. But it was a great experiment. I learned a lot here. There's a lot of good technique that I think can come of this. And something that I am already thinking about is like I could probably reinforce the bridge of this nose here. It's super flimsy. You can see that the layer lines were separating. My bed wasn't really leveled very properly and the extruder wasn't very close to the bed, so there was some layer shifting going on. So in this case, like if I didn't really want to reprint this whole piece, I probably could take some, you know, raft and just wrap it and reinforce. But I mean, as of now, it's pretty strong. It's not going to go anywhere. So there's a lot of, I think, applications for using a soldering iron. Like I could probably melt away this logo if I was really concerned about it, or I could sand it. Yeah, I'm super excited about going forward with my trunk sword now. Like I feel way more confident. There's probably a lot more dabbling that I should be doing with learning how to weld pieces together before I probably jump in, but I really am confident with the small holes technique, and I think that can really get a great result, especially on a sword when I don't have to do a lot of filling with like that hot knife and cutting big lines into it. I think with the tiny little holes will be a lot more manageable. But I just want to thank you all for joining me today. I hope you learned something. I certainly did. If there's a technique that you think I should have tried or would like to see me try, please feel free to drop it in the comments. If you liked what you saw here, please consider subscribing. If you learned something today, give this video a thumbs up. Hit that bell notification so you know when I upload next. Tune in for more. There's a trunk sword coming. There's clone helmets. There's Boba Fett helmets. I have all of these pieces printed. I just need to start making it. So tune in for more. There's a lot coming. I'm excited to be on this 3D printing journey. I hope you'll join me. And always remember, make sure that your bed is leveled. Then you get frustrated and then level again. Get even more frustrated, level again, and then print something cool. Yeah, that's the process. All right, cheers. Catch you on the next video.